Last empirical facts, sorry, there are 4 empirical facts, not only 3. The last empirical facts concern the services. Okay, I told you before that compared to the past, foreign direct investments are not anymore made only in the manufacturing sector, and this becomes clear if we look now at this data. Okay, at this graph, this shows you. Take the global inward FDI stock in 2014 and split it by sector, you realize that the largest share, $64 trillion out of 26 trillion, 64 billion out of 26 trillion are made in the service sector. Okay. No, sorry, this is percent. So 64% of $26 trillion worldwide are made in the service sector, and only 27% are made in the manufacturing sector. Okay, so nowadays the service sector is by far the largest attractor of foreign direct investments, or mainly not attractor. It is by far the sector in which the largest share of foreign direct investment take place compared to other sectors of the economy, such as the manufacturing and the primary sector. Okay, this suggests something that I mentioned already before, that also the driver of foreign direct investments are changing over time, and we will have time to actually get on this point later on during this course. Okay, let me go back to you again. Are there questions, doubts, something that I probably explained not in a clear way? Maybe I went too fast. You still be, so seems to be all there. So if there are no questions, doubts, comments, let me just now go to the last part of this class, which is again more sort of like definition and discussion of concepts. Let me also just tell you that I will just now complete this first part with some other slides. Then I will take I suggest to take a break, a 15-minute break, and then we will continue with the sort of like third lecture, what was supposed to be the third lecture, which will be mainly on, again, theoretical aspects. Okay, so when we will start to discuss theories of transnational companies. So I will complete this first part with some more information about definitions and concepts, and then we will take a 15 minutes break, and we'll resume later on to start the new lecture. Okay, so. Last part, it concerns to what? Well, we need to introduce some more definition, something that I already mentioned, and some new stuff that concerns in particular the following. The first thing that I want to discuss is, or better to clarify, is the distinction between the two ways in which you can create, the two options that you have to create a multinational company. Okay, so the controlling share of a business enterprise can be obtained through foreign direct investments, as we know now, and these foreign direct investments can be of two types. One is so-called merger and acquisition of an existing company. So when we talk about FDI based on merger and acquisitions, it means that you are actually acquiring or buying stock of an existing company. Okay, so this can be done via an acquisition, meaning you become the new owner of the company, or it can take place via merger, meaning you merge the two companies and create a new sort of like a new business. Okay, there are slight differences between the two, but again, this is not a course about merger and acquisition, so we will not focus our attention on what are the differences between these two. Those who will continue, for instance, in the IBD course, will have chances to discuss this in a better way. There is a course that is taken by Professor Arrighetti, which is in particular about not only merger and acquisition, but it's about cooperation and competition among firms. So it takes this difference more into it analyzes these differences in more detail. This is not the main aim of our course, so we will just, what is more important for me is that you understand the difference between merger and acquisition on one hand and greenfield investment on the other. Okay, so what merger and acquisition, we said it already, is the you buy stock of an existing company. Greenfield investment is instead what? Well, it is the setting up of a completely new business establishment in a foreign company. Mainly, you go to China, so again, you are an Italian company, you want to create a branch or start a new business in company, you just create from scratch a new company in China, okay? When you do this, this is called a greenfield investment, okay? So when we will read or when we will discuss about greenfield investment, this is what we have in mind, okay? So it's from scratch the creation of a new company in a foreign country. Of course, the two are different. Also, the costs and the way and the convenience of merger and acquisition on one hand and greenfield investments on the other are the convenience of the two is different. The costs are different and the benefits are different. We will have time to discuss. So we have to discuss this. In particular, we can have some idea now. So, of course, there are conceptual distinction between merger and acquisition and greenfield investments, and the benefits and costs from the point of view of the company are different, and we will have time to discuss them. It is also interesting, however, and this is an important point that will come back also when we will discuss the effects of multinational companies' operation. It is important to notice also that the consequences of merger and acquisition and greenfield investment are different with respect to the home country. With respect to the host country, the country that receives the investment. Why? Well, because in a certain sense, if you think about that, both merger and acquisition and greenfield investments increase the productive capacity of the company. So from the perspective of the company, what you do after, what are the benefits that you get after you make either merger and acquisition or greenfield investments? Well, basically, after that, you own a new company, you have control of a new company, so you have basically increased your production capacity because you can produce now more goods operating in another country. So from the perspective of the company, the two are similar. However, from the perspective of the host country, the country that is hosting, that is receiving the investments, the two are not the same, are significantly different. Why? Well, because only greenfield investments leads to actual new productive capacity for the host country. So only when you carry out a greenfield investment in China, the productive capacity of China increases. Why? Well, because you create a new business. If you buy an existing business, from the perspective of the company, you are increasing your productive capacity. But from the perspective of China, you are not increasing productive capacity because that company was already there before. The main difference is that before it was owned by a Chinese owner, now is owned by an Italian owner. Okay, so of course this matters a lot on the extent to which host countries can like or not greenfield versus merger and acquisition. And guess what? Of course, host countries tend to prefer much more greenfield investment compared to merger and acquisition. Okay, why? Well, because the difference that I was saying before matters a lot when we talk about the effects of foreign direct investments on host countries' employment rate.